Welcome to the Graybeard Gaming Podcast, where we talk about the gaming industry and how it affects us as gamers and consumers. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Graybeard Gaming Podcast. So I am your host, Scott, and I have with me Liam. Liam, how's it going, man?
It's going good, actually, yeah.
Yeah. We ended up with some stuff to talk about. I was really worried that we wouldn't have any news, and it always produces itself. It always comes into fruition right there at the end, you know. But I do have to ask you, did you watch the Fallout TV show?
I have not yet. It's on my to-watch list.
Okay. Well, I won't spoil anything for you. It's really good. I liked it. I liked it a lot. There's a lot of nods to the game. If you've played the game, or mostly any video game, there's just some really good nods to it. I thought that was really funny. Did you watch the Halo TV show?
No, actually, I haven't watched any TV shows, strangely enough.
Well, that one,
fan.
yeah. Well, I'm envious of you now.
I heard that's not great compared to Fallout.
It's kind of heartbreaking. It's kind of, you know, I don't want to say heartbreaking. That seems too emotional. But when someone makes something and completely ignores the core reference material, like purposefully, like says, hey, I'm not gonna, you know, I don't want anybody playing the game. I don't want anybody reading any books. I don't want anybody doing anything. This is our Halo. We're doing this. That just seems like the dumbest thing ever. But, you know, here we go. What if Peter Jackson had done that? Lord of the Rings. Nobody read the books. Nobody even look at The Hobbit, at anything, nothing. We're gonna go. This is our baby. This is our movie. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a requirement for them to read the book before they started even remotely doing that movie. 13 Academy Awards. Anyway, all right, well, let's move on from that. Fallout, if you haven't seen it, people, watch it. It's really good. I thought it was funny, too, because on Steam, Fallout is now, I think the number was up 7,200% after this show, which is exactly what you want. I mean, people were like, what is this? I guess I should either go back and play Fallout or, you know, experience it. Yeah, experience it for the first time. So, are you a Fallout player? Have you played Fallout 4?
I haven't played much Fallout, honestly. I've just downloaded Fallout 76 because that's what a lot of my friends are playing right now, and I am trying Fallout 4 again because that's got the patch.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. So I also downloaded the Xbox version on my Xbox Series S to just kind of see, you know, what it looked like. And I went into you actually have to go in and put it on performance mode. It's in the settings. At 60 frames per second. I did see some degradation in the texturing, which was, you know, it's kind of expected when you go into a performance mode. But is it really? I mean, the game is, you know, what, 8 years old now? 9 years old? I'm sure. Now, you've got a Series X. I'm sure it probably looked a lot better on the X.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I found out was because there was a big confusion at first with the patch, because on the PlayStation 5 side, it's 4K 40 FPS.
Really?
With VAR,
Okay.
with VRR,
Uh-huh.
but it's seemingly 4K 60 on the X, on both modes. Which the performance is just if you got a bit of like frame dropping on quality mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, both for 4K 60. So that was interesting.
Well, I mean, it's not surprising. It's the Xbox Series X does have some extra oomph in it when it comes to, you know, graphics quality. Depends on what games can access it or not. But yeah, 4K at 40 for a game that's I don't know, man. That's not fair. I mean, they're getting 40 frames per second on, and I guess that's performance mode, or is that quality mode?
I think that would be quality mode, and then performance mode goes to 60 with a lower resolution.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, On PC, I didn't. It upgraded automatically. I didn't really see any difference. I think on the PC side, it's just bug fixes and stuff. But it broke all my mods, so
Yeah.
uninstalled. That's. I'm not the biggest Fallout fan. There's two kinds of people. There's Fallout people and there's Elder Scrolls people. I'm definitely an Elder person. I enjoy those games way more than the Fallout. But I did love the TV show, and I can't wait for season 6. So it was enjoyable and really nice to see an adaptation of a video game done right. Seems like we've gotten jaded so many times. So very, very happy to. Well, cool. All right. Well, let's jump into this first story because it's gonna sound boring, but then when I get into it, I think it's gonna be really interesting because we do like to talk about the industry here. Graybeard Gaming Podcast. And this is about Embracer Group. They are splitting into 3 separate companies. Now we know they took a large hit last year. I mean, they lost their ass basically, and they were banking on what was like a $7 billion boost from some investors. We think from Saudi Arabia. They never said who they were, but kind of at the last minute they pulled out. And that really hurt them because it's kind of like somebody saying, "Oh, you won the lottery," and you're like, "Well, great, you get your money next week. Oh, cool." And you go max out your credit cards. Who cares? When you get that money, you'll just pay them off. And then you go back next week. Goes, "Oh, there's a technicality. You actually didn't win." And then you're left with all of this debt, right? That seems like that's kind of what, right? That's what they. It's like, oh, we're gonna get all this money. Let's invest in this and this and this and this and this. Let's buy this up, and they didn't get it, and then they were kind of left with that. So they had to eat some humble pie, and the CEO Lars Wingfors, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm sure I'm butchering it, but he can dry his tears with a $100 bill, I'm sure. But they're splitting into 3 entities, and this is Asmodee, I think is how you say that, which is like the board game company. Coffee Stain, which is a publisher for AA. You probably know them if you've played Valheim, which I know you've played recently.
Yeah, I'm trying it now.
It's be careful. It's a drug. You can easily get hooked on that stuff. And then the other one is, of course, the Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends, which owns all of not the movies, but pretty much everything else but the movies. So, Asmodee Group will focus on tabletop. Coffee Stain's titles will range from indie to AA for PC, console, and mobile. Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends, meanwhile, will concentrate on AAA gaming for PC and console, handling Embracer's biggest franchise such as The Lord of the Rings and Tomb Raider. Now, I'm getting this from GameIndustry.biz website. I know we don't really like websites here like that, but I feel like Game Industry Biz just gets the news. They so far don't have too much of a social spin on it. But this is an interview, so I think it's valid. So yeah, they're just breaking it up to kind of help with their structure, and this guy Lars Wingford or whatever is basically telling them, it's like, okay, now you're in charge of this, and you're in charge of this, and you're in charge of this, and go grow stuff, and I'll be in charge of all 3, which is probably how it's supposed to be. Well, in the interview, he said some things that were really interesting. I'm gonna read this to you, and you tell me what you think. Okay, so. He says the more you disclose and tell, the more questions there are. So the management teams need to be mindful about how they communicate and why they are communicating. Ultimately, I want them to communicate first to gamers, and I don't think the public company setting is the right forum necessarily to communicate to consumers and gamers, or even to employees, even though we have used it to have a common platform to communicate what's going on across the group. So what I think what he's saying there is that it's important to communicate, just maybe not in their own backyard. I mean, I think it's important to do that, but yeah, they have to be careful with it. But he goes on to say, the trust and value you are creating as a public company is only driven by the execution. The way to communicate is to execute, meaning make great games, earn money, take the next step. The public markets are very cynical, and my learning is they only believe in execution. So what I will say to the new management teams is don't talk too much, just deliver, and it will sort itself out. So what do you think about that? I think that's pretty insightful as far as, what the AAA market looks like and how you tackle it as the guy in charge.
I mean, it has to be pressure on them, anytime they have that, AAA or game making as well. I just hope that with Embracer's new strategy here, they don't just buy everything and then drop everything. Because
I think that's the lesson they learned last year.
Yeah, because they just fired a bunch of people,
Mm-hmm.
and closed studios weren't doing much, and they were just sitting on all this IP they bought, and then nothing happened. So,
yeah, and they also sold off. What was it? It was right. Kind of gives a rundown of all these three, which we can go through that as well. It was Gearbox, and I failed. Where did I have? They got rid of Gearbox, and what was the other one? Anyway, that's the guy that Tim Willits went to, the guys that made. Here, there, Saber Interactive. That's what I'm trying to say. The guys that screwed up the Halo Anniversary Edition. At least that's my opinion. But yeah, so they actually bought themselves. They spent $205 million, and now they're independent again, and good for them. I mean, they've done some other stuff that's really good, but Gearbox they're setting themselves up as a publisher. But in the wake, of course, too, we lost. They closed Volition after Saints Row was released.
Yeah.
And did you play that at all? The new Saints Row?
No, I did not. I did not play that. I heard it got mixed reviews at best.
Yeah, it got mixed reviews. I did. What was it? Who had it? Somebody had it for free. I guess it was the Epic Game Store. They usually give away, stuff like that. So I snatched it and played it a little bit. And yeah, it's kind of like, not my words, but somebody put it eloquently as they went woke and got broke. The characters were unlikable. The story was, just based on, it wasn't much of a story to begin with. The gameplay was flat, and it was broken upon release. And that's supposed to be one of their AAA titles. It didn't do well in reviews. It didn't do well on the internet, and it's a ton of money and a studio, which is sad because I really liked Volition as a studio. I thought they did some great work before this game. So, but yeah, I just think this is interesting to see. This guy seems a little humbled by, obviously, his huge mistakes from last year. And to be honest, I'm kind of surprised he still has a job. But he does go on. What's that?
The problem with CEOs, right? You can make all these mess ups, and somehow they're still in it.
Right.
The people that sort of suffer are the developers and just lower employees, and they just get laid off. And the CEO is just like, oh, I'll improve next time. Don't worry.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I mean, if you're a CEO and you make a decision and you're, hey, wait a minute. Let's back up a second. I've lost my entire mind. This is not the same guy that was the CEO. This is the new CEO. The old CEO did get fired. He left.
Okay.
So we're yeah. Wow. I just failed everyone listening. I apologize. But this is the new guy, and the new guy seems to has his wits about him. The other guy was just like gobble up everything. But to go back to this, yeah, it seems like it's just hard making games. Apparently, if you think about it, like the only thing close to this is movies. We really can't compare it to anything else. But if you make a big blockbuster, like super, mega AAA movie, that's not the name of the movie. Like when you throw a script or get it, or the production, it's not big blockbuster sci-fi movie, because you have no idea. You don't know how well it's going to be received. The only thing you can do is make the movie, show it to test audiences, and go from there. They do the same thing with video games, but bad games still get put out there, and bad movies still get put out there. And I think that this is kind of his way to maybe help with that quality control, is to say, hey, look, you guys just make what you're doing. Just make it good. And I'll decide on, if it's good enough, I guess. And then all three of the entities can just do their own thing. That's probably how it should be, too. But I just thought that those words were insightful to, people like us. But anyway, to go back to what you were saying about CEOs, you're right. If somebody like a programmer did something to a game and it cost them, $500 million, he would be fired immediately and probably never work again. But a CEO could go, put this on the box, and it cost them $500 million. They're like, wow, that was bad. I won't do that again. Moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what a lot do. And,
yeah. Unless you're the old guy that was at that Embracer Group. He made many, many mistakes, though. That guy, he was also a jerk. I think he was the one that he yelled at somebody at a conference or something and basically told him, you don't, he said, if you're not putting microtransactions in your games, then you should be out of the business. You're going to put yourself out of the business. And then Larian Studio said, hold my beer. Which we'll get to in just a second, but
it's like Activision and Kotick. If Microsoft didn't buy them, Kotick would still be a job. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be moved at all if no one bought Activision now. And look at the stuff that he done, all mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just sit there like, oh yeah, get money.
Yeah. And companies used to not be run that way. They really weren't. There was a guy I think it was in the 30s. And I didn't look this up. I'm just doing this off the top of my head, out of memory, so I don't remember the name, the author, or the book. But he basically wrote a book that highlighted like the best way to run a company, to make one person in charge that answers to shareholders and blah blah blah, and then everybody comes down from that, and so companies started taking that initiative in that direction, and then now here we are, putting one person in charge of this mega corporation, and they're so disconnected from anything that they make or do or create, that they make bad decisions, or they make decisions that are not consumer friendly, because they don't even know the consumer. And that guy said, like, later and before he died, he was like, that I regret every day writing that book. He said, I think I screwed up America. He said that. I mean, he said, I think I messed up. Thanks, brah. Yeah, I think you did too. Because there shouldn't be one person in charge of all of this stuff. It just doesn't make sense. Look at it, but yeah, I think this is just a look at a company that's changing, and they're trying to fix themselves financially. It looks like they're already in a better financial state than they were last year, which is, not saying very much, but anyway, I thought that was worth talking about because, like I said, there's some, entities within Embracer Group that we all like Tomb Raider, Lord of the Rings, and the Coffee Stain. Coffee Stain, I think, is a great publisher. And he said that they are good. They're a good publisher. They're making money. They've got, and they have a good sense of community. Like they're the people that buy things from them think highly of them. That's hard to do in the gaming industry. You can't do anything without somebody jumping all over you. So
let's just hope that they get better as a company Embracer.
Yeah. Yeah, and not being such a large entity will probably give them a little bit more public, just a better public outlook, both ways. For us viewing them and them viewing us. Now, this guy seems to get it, and that's rare. So cool. All right. Well, if anybody wants to go read that article, it is on gamingindustry.biz. I have to give James Batchelor props for that one, and then also he did both of those articles. So go read them. One of the few websites I go to that I feel like I'm getting at least 60% of the story. So anyway, so let's move on. And I want to, again, I always try to find some positivity in the gaming industry, which it's kind of hard. But there's an article here from PC Gamer, which I do not like. But he's quoting some people, so I thought it was worth it. And this is, again, kind of an insight to the gaming industry, from our point of view. But the title of the story is a quote: "Marketing's dead, and I can back this shit up. Baldur's Gate 3 publishing director says players, quote, just want to be spoken to, and they don't want to be bamboozled." So to follow up that other story, this is Larian's Michael Dowse, I believe, their marketing guy, which, marketing guys usually are the mouthpiece, but yeah, he says marketing is dead. And we talked about this last week. We were talking about marketing for Hellblade 2. It's like, where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marketing's dead. Doesn't matter now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, he's got a point here. Again, this is like something we as consumers don't really think about, and maybe we should. So, but this is what he says: marketing's dead. Marketing is, it truly is. I could back this shit up. There's no channels anywhere. It doesn't work. You used to have to market, communicate, and PR. Marketing was essentially a retail theory. You were trying to get your box on the right point of the store shelf, and you have partnerships with retail stores. Those pipelines are gone. Now you've got the internet. Nobody is looking at ads anymore. All of the channels that we have, that we would usually market through, are no longer really viable. So their function is also reduced by the fact that players just want to be spoken to. They don't want to be bamboozled. They just want to know what you're making, why you're making it, and who it is for. Man, that just sums it up for everybody, I think. And he's absolutely right. But we didn't think about that last week. It's like, as far as the marketing, like I was talking about, like the Starfield TV commercial, that they released. Did I see that on TV? No, I don't watch TV. I saw it on YouTube. It was in my feed.
But that ad still appears though as on YouTube or on TV. Obviously, as he said, like the way they used to do advertising and marketing is very different. Because they can just put something on the internet and it'll be read.
Right.
So
right.
They don't have to advertise as much or market as much because it's just on the internet and it's seen.
Yeah.
So.
And maybe it's more of, it doesn't seem to be out there, but it may be everywhere. Just we're not everywhere. If you go to Twitter, you may see it in your feed. And to me, I mean, that is marketing, but it just seems very small. But it is reaching. So I don't know. Maybe we talked about Sony like painting Spider-Man on buses and stuff. Maybe that doesn't reach anybody.
I don't think that kind of marketing does much compared to the internet. Maybe that's what he's trying to say as well. I don't know, and because basically with Baldur's Gate 3 as well, what really makes it go, well and sell well, is a good word of mouth on the internet. Like, look, this is a good game, and no microtransactions or less buggy, and game of the year, and it just makes people talk more than any advertising traditionally could do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I played Baldur's Gate 3 on early access on Steam about a year before it came out. So how did I hear about it? I went to Steam, and there it was. It's like bam, you know. Yeah, maybe marketing's just changed so much. It just seems like, I don't know. Maybe I guess I miss it. You know, I mean, like when Halo 2 was marketing, you saw it every. It was on. It's like at Times Square. It was you know, in London. It was in Paris. It was like you saw it on the news. Like, look at the marketing for Halo 2. It's everywhere. You know. I guess it's just changed. It's just changed, and we didn't notice. But yeah, him saying, you know, you don't have those channels anymore is absolutely right, because I would say this is probably, and this is just me saying this, but I'm going to say that this is probably the last holiday season here in the U.S. that we're going to see all three console makers with games in stores. I think next year they're just going to go away. I don't know what it's like over there, but I know you guys lost. Was it Gamer or Game?
Yeah, Game. Game. We have the shop Game, and it's pretty dead. It's pretty much dead, because they just said to all their staff, basically, now I'm going to have 0 contracts. Basically making redundant. So yeah, the shop's on its last legs, really.
Yeah.
There's no one going in there. And besides, you can't even find damn stores anyway here. I have to go through a Sports Direct, and it's in behind that shop. It's not in its own store anymore. It's sort of hidden away behind another store.
So it's like inside of another store, like a section, like like a makeup manufacturer would be in, like a Macy's, like a larger department store.
Yeah, which is
that's really
insane.
Weird.
I know, that's insane to me, considering how much games grew.
I know.
But of course, everything goes digital now, on the internet, and yeah, so all the retail is just dying off, I guess. You know?
It really is. Well, I mean, physical copies. You know, physical copies are going away. It's, you know, I personally, I think they need to, but that's just me.
For example, if I wanted to buy another console now, what shop do I go to? I guess it's going to be Amazon now. But I can't just go to a shop and buy one.
Yeah, I mean, even like Best Buy. The last time I went into a Best Buy, they didn't have any. I don't. They didn't. Their section looked like a Target. I mean, like your Best Buy and your gaming section looks like it's no bigger than you know, any other department store. And they never have consoles there, unless they keep them in the back. They probably have them in the, you know, for online orders and stuff. But yeah, where would you go get one? I guess you just shop around and see who has one in stock.
All the stores around me now are like pawn shops, and just you buy them trade-ins, but like I can't find a legitimate seller for brand new things. It's like, where are the stores?
Really?
I can't find them.
Well, here we still have Walmart. Walmart still has always, you know, they always got gobs of stuff for now. They're losing, I think, physical movies this year, right? Yeah. Yeah, physical movies are going away in Walmart this year. And if you think about it, I don't know if you have like a Best Buy equivalent there, but 10 years ago? No, but let's say about 15 years ago, you could go in there and there was row after row after row of movies. And right next to the movies was row after row after game console.
Yeah,
you know,
I think
just everything.
I think like our basically sort of equivalent might be Curry's or PC World. You know, I'm trying to think of like technological shops that would have.
Right.
I haven't been any of those, so I have to check that out.
Yeah.
Our regular stores, just not much. And I don't know what the just going off a tangent here.
Sure.
What's the 4K Blu-ray scene like over there? Or even Blu-rays in general, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's shrunk a lot. I'm going to use I'm going to use Walmart as an example because I'm often in Walmart. I travel, so there's always like a Walmart in a small town. You can go and get, a drink and use the bathroom and stuff. So the 4K Blu-ray is minimal. Then there's Blu-ray. And then there's like a very small section of actual DVDs. or they are in like a bargain bin in the middle of the aisle, like in a cardboard container, just chock full of, DVDs for like $3 or $4 that you can just dig through. And it's probably that back stock of just, hey, we need to get rid of this stuff. You've got like one aisle and then an end cap of these weird, like, I think they're just Walmart versions. All the covers are redone. They all have kind of a theme to them. So you get like 3 movies together, like 3 horror movies together, 3 action movies. Or in a sequence, like 3 Friday the 13th movies, or 3, Lethal Weapon movies, stuff like that. Like, it seems like they kind of market on their own. And that's it. So you have like an end cap, you have an aisle, and that's all of your physical movies.
Yeah, because like I go to like my local stores that resell like CEX over here, basically resell everything. And like a year ago, it used to be quite good. I would like find all the Blu-ray movies and like a ton of 4K things over there as well. Oh, okay, that's in 4K, that's in 4K. Now I go back there and like, what happened? There's all the 4K stuffs are no longer there. There's like one shelf of 4K films that actually go there.
Yeah.
And the rest are old Blu-rays, and the rest are still DVDs. DVD is still here.
Yeah.
It's like, what do the Blu-rays or the 4Ks?
Wow.
Like,
well, streaming services are killing them.
I don't know. So, like, I thought, like, especially with, I mean, Blu-ray is fine. People would stream it, but I thought 4K would be like a big thing, and I think it's shrunk as well. So, yeah, it's crazy to me, really.
And this is outside of London, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to see the same thing with games, and there's that huge argument of game preservation, and this is my hot take, and this is this is what I think about it. If you have a disc and you have a console, that is not game preservation at all. There is, even if it's, I know you got that copy of that JRPG that's beloved, that's on, that you can play on your PS2 anytime you want. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying throw it away, but it is locked to that console. When it's locked to that console, when those consoles aren't available anymore, and it could happen. I know it's a PS2. It's a best-selling console.
Yeah.
It's not preservation. Plus, that disc is a disc itself is the worst kind of media. You get one scratch, it's done. You get one crack, it's over. I used to have a bunch of 360 discs that just from its rotation, it would get these little micro cracks right there where you mount it into the drive.
Or if that 360 fell over, it's over.
yeah, exactly. So, and they, it's not good preservation. Now, if you have those games on your PC and you can play them via emulation, you can play them on any PC going forward till we all kill each other. That to me is much better game preservation. That digital background, that digital thing, that you can take from anywhere to anywhere, that is a much better way to preserve a game. And that's my opinion, but I think that a lot of people would disagree with me. And you probably won't get the exact intended experience with that playing on a PC, or it might be better. And I'm not saying I'm not inciting people just going and downloading a bunch of games illegally. If you have the disc, you own a license to play that game.
Yeah. Just
saying. So that's my take on game preservation, and something that we may be talking more about in the future as we see, like Target. I'm telling you, next Christmas at Target, they're not going to have any physical games of Xbox. They're just not selling them anymore, because they're not selling in the stores. This is why they're going away. Nobody's buying movies and nobody's buying physical games. It's not one person's fault. It's not one company's fault. It's us. We're the ones not buying them. That's why they're going away. So before you
Yeah,
say,
it's
"Oh,
just-
Microsoft's killing the gaming industry," it's because nobody's buying them. PlayStation's looking at
Yeah.
the same thing, you know. So
Yeah, habit to everyone, because we just as a society went, oh wait, I can just download it and stream it. I don't have to leave my house.
yeah, I mean, you know, midnight parties or midnight releases were fun. I'll give you that. But you know, um, Grandolph the Gray over here, you know, I'm not going anywhere at midnight, especially where I live. You go somewhere at midnight knowing that you're walking out of a store purchasing something, you might get shot.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so having that game downloaded and ready to go, and then you know, unlock at a certain time, I love it. I absolutely love it. It is the way to go. And I kind of miss it from console. On PC, on Steam, a lot of times you can't pre-download. So you have to wait till it's available and then download it. Now downloads are a lot faster on Steam, but you know, on the Xbox you can pre-download it. And
Yeah.
and then also on the game, the PC app for Xbox, you can preload stuff. Like right now I can pre-install Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, which is available on the 21st. So I can do that, but on Steam, not so much. Anyway. But
Surprised Steam doesn't allow that more, but yeah.
well, I think it's more of just people will go in and crack it.
Yeah.
You know, if you download it a day before, then it's going to be on some, you know, somebody's website in like 15 minutes. So,
True.
yeah, I can understand, but the people still buy the games. It's still cool. So anyway, all right. Well, aside from that, I think we got a little off track, but that's okay. That's why we're here, talk about games and stuff. But I just thought that was a really cool quote from Larian. They also had that quote. What was it? It was at the DICE Awards where they said, "We don't have shareholders, but we also don't think about them. Building games that are actually fun is going to make you the most money. That's it." And that was an obvious jab at all of these other, you know, people that have all these microtransactions. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's not lying, but he's also, you know, the kind of game that they made. You can say that, but the other studios that are hard at work making the next Destiny 2 or some other kind of live service game, I don't think really has that luxury of, you know, just getting, oh, just make it fun and it'll make money. They have to put all the science in it. Slot machine. So anyway, so back on track with what we got here. Microsoft got an earnings call, and I didn't know this. I wasn't paying attention to it till I went on the X Twitter and saw a bunch of people that apparently love to play on PlayStation say that Xbox is dead again. Xbox has died like
yeah, Xbox done like I don't know
it's
15 times maybe.
Oh god, I don't know how many times. So then I went to the earnings call and I see what they're talking about. So let's get into this because this is kind of interesting. Revenue increased $2.3 billion. Yeah, that sounds like they're dead. Windows revenue increased. Gaming revenue increased $1.8 billion or 51%, driven by growth in Xbox content and services. Content and services. Let's keep that in mind. Xbox content and services revenue increased 62%, driven by 61 points of net impact from the Activision Blizzard acquisition. Of course, they made money on that. Xbox hardware revenue decreased 31%, driven by lower volume of consoles sold. So, Liam, why do you think that is? 31% down.
Well, I mean, yeah, Xbox can't be surprised at a lack of console sales. As I said before, I think we spoke about this last week. The market isn't growing for console anyway. But Microsoft themselves are the ones that say you don't need an Xbox to play Xbox.
Right.
So you have PC, you have streaming, you have smart TVs, you have games on PlayStation 5 now. So they're just putting it wherever they like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think more people probably pivoted towards PC than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people are like me that had been on console, probably most notably Xbox, for long enough to start seeing that PC was more beneficial and more economical. Because I mean, yeah, if I can play all of these games on my PC, I'm not missing out on anything from Xbox, from Microsoft going to a PC, other than having to use their horrendously crappy app on the PC. I can play all the Game Pass games, all the first party stuff that hits. So um, that is probably a factor. The other factor I would say also is that we're in the fourth year of consoles of this generation, and this generation arguably has not been the best. I mean,
No,
it really hasn't. On
I think we're sort of waiting for like the latter years of the generation for it to pick up. Strangely enough, then because first 4 years, 4 years feel like 4 months that they've been out. Nothing's really come out and gone, oh wow, that's a new generation.
right, yeah, that's what it's missing. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get those anymore. I don't think we're getting those huge leaps in graphics. These things are more like phones now.
Yeah,
It's more like, oh, and that's why Microsoft kind of doubled down on the features of their consoles this generation, knowing that that graphical leap will not be that substantial. Things built into the console itself, like quicker zoom and VRR and stuff like that. So it's gonna get weird, but you're right. Usually at the end of the generation of consoles, that's when you start seeing those graphical leaps, in games. But are we gonna see that again with this generation? I mean, if I think about like was there anything for Xbox One or PlayStation 4 that playing it felt like a new console? I know, like playing Halo 4 on the 360 when it came out was like, oh my god, this is such a graphical leap between Halo 3 and Halo 4 on the same console. It's just mind blowing, you know. And then the year after, we've got a new console, but I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get that again. I don't remember
no, I mean,
anything at the end of Xbox One right before the. Well, I guess because maybe the Xbox One X came out. You
yeah,
had that big jump.
because we had the pro consoles as well, so everything
Right.
looked better. But yeah, on the one, yeah, they just underpowered anyway.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Hellblade too. Obviously, that visual looks insane, and if that's what we get in future games, then we can see maybe a bit of a leap the way that
Yeah.
looks. Unreal Engine 5 is taking a toll on the consoles, but it's because all these games we've been waiting for these like big visual updates haven't come out yet, and it's been like 5 years. So
Yeah. I remember the first trailer for Stalker 2, and it looked real. It looked real to me. It's like, wow, this is like realistic, about as realistic as you can get. And then, of course, they're Ukrainian. They went to war, and they had to move to another country to complete this game. And then the last trailer I saw really didn't look that great at all. It really did not. Nothing. Not that it's not going to be a good game, and graphics are not the most important thing, but it definitely took a degradation in graphics. And you always got to wonder. It's like, well, it's an Unreal Engine 5 game. It should be looking better than that first trailer by now, because we're hitting Unreal Engine 5.4. They're adding all this stuff to it. All of these games that are coming out for Unreal Engine 5.3 look stellar. So I don't know. It's is that what we're gonna see too? Is Hellblade 2 gonna come out and not look near as good as any of the trailers?
like trailers don't always look the same as games, and we've had that before. But I think it will look better than any game we have right now. But I think the consoles came out at a weird time because now we've got Unreal Engine 5 and the engine upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
4 years in, and it's like, well, if you want to see the benefits of a full-fledged game, that'll be another 4 years away. So
Yeah.
if all the Unreal Engine 5 came out before the consoles were released and all these tools, would have been different. Of course, we had the pandemic that slowed everything down, but yeah, it's just this weird generation that we've had.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Xbox Series X and S launched with like one first-party game? Or did they even have that? I think everything got delayed.
Yeah, I think everything was delayed. I mean, Hellblade 2 was the first thing they showed before the console.
Yeah.
Now we're here.
Yeah, it was. God dang, that's telling right there, isn't it? Oh man, yeah, that's. I think these two consoles were more of. I think it's like a phone. It's like, here's the new iPhone. It's the same as the one you have in your pocket, but it does this and it does this faster and does this better and blah 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 blah. And I think that's what we're just going to have to get used to. I think when we see, what Sarah Bond put out, she said that it was going to be the biggest leap in a generation.
That's interesting.
They
comment
really lowered the bar last time, so
Yeah, but interesting they say that.
Right.
I do have a few ideas as to what they mean, but
yeah, well, hit it.
Because if you look at PlayStation, like they're doing a PS5 Pro, God knows why.
Because they think it'll generate them money.
Obviously, make money, but
they need money right now.
I guess they just want to add additional PS5 units to their sales.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know who looks at them and says, yeah, they're failing on sales, but apparently Sony do.
Right.
So that'd be interesting to see what they do when that comes out.
Well, I think it's more of like everybody that wants a PS5 has a PS5. The early adopters, that paid like $1,000 on eBay for them when they first came out, that's who that's targeted for. Hey, you've had this for 3 to 4 years. Now here's a newer version. They're not expecting anybody that just bought a PS5 to get the the Pro. These are
no, because even last generation, the Pro models didn't sell all that well compared to the base models.
Well, the PS4 Pro was not. I mean, it did tricks. It really wasn't much of a leap.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. And I don't know. They supposedly these specs for the PS5 Pro show a graphical leap, for like the GPU and the RAM, but it's using the same processor. So a lot of and we know the Unreal Engine 5 is CPU intensive. So I'm not expecting that to be a large leap as well.
No, it won't, because they still have to also maintain the fact that it is a PS5, so it has to use the same processor for it. They're not going to, change the entire thing because
they can't.
It's still part of the family.
Yeah, it's got to run everything that you've already purchased, and then everything that developers are working on right now for the PS5. They can't just change it to where it's another version of the game. They can add patches later to upgrade it. Like say Spider-Man 3 comes out. It's like, oh, well, here's the PS5 version, PS5 Pro version, coming later, or will be patched. We'll see this. I guarantee you, when this thing, if it comes out this holiday, there's going to be maybe one, maybe two titles that will utilize that new hardware, but everything else is going to be patched in much later.
Yeah.
So you're probably not even going to be able to utilize any of that unless it just operates at you can play some of your older games at a higher frame rate. Maybe.
And the problem I had with the Pro consoles, as much as I liked my Xbox One X, is they have to patch it. So not everything just works better. So there's games on Xbox One that's still stuck at 720p. Even on Xbox Series, it's still stuck at 720p. Because
Yeah.
they can't just patch it all at like one fits all. They still have to go in and do it for each game manually.
Right.
So all the upgrades are nice, but yeah, you still have to like fix every game if you want it to run better.
And it has to go through certification. You have to make sure that it works. Xbox they did it right, maybe unknowingly. You know, a lot of the upgrades that you got with the, like, say from 360 and Xbox One that were going from like 30 to 60, it was no more than somebody going and just unlocking the frame rate.
Yeah.
So they got lucky on a lot of that stuff. Like the Gears games, I remember reading something about, it's like, oh, it was super easy. We just went in and just changed 30 to 60, bam. I mean, it was just like, you know, it was like, there it was in the code, just change it, and then you got 60 FPS. So yeah, I mean, that added more value to your console, but having a leap in, you know, I don't know. Well, let me ask you this: if do you think Microsoft is going to have their own Pro? I know what Phil Spencer said, but he sometimes, you know, goes back and says, "Well, I've rethought about it." Do you think they're going to have their answer to the PS5 Pro?
Not sure, to be honest. Before I'd say no, but at the same time, Microsoft saying they are bringing out new hardware soon. So I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, what is it?
I'd rather them not go for a Pro, make the next gen like the biggest leap, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, look into handheld instead.
Yeah, we talked about that last week too. It's
Yeah.
I don't think that's something we're going to see this holiday, but I think it could be for the next.
Because I think
iteration.
if Xbox sales are down anyway, a more powerful Xbox, what's that going to do? No, it's not going to shift everyone to Xbox.
Do anything, right? It's not going to. Again, it's the early adopters of the Series X will want to get it. And if I was still playing on console, I would still get it, because I'm one of those people that's like, I want the best experience I can have. You know, this is something I love to do in my spare time. I want to have the best experience. Just like on PC, you know, you can upgrade your GPU, you can upgrade your processor to get the better experience. So was saying that, I do have another question. What makes a PS5 a Pro? Why do they call it Pro? Usually a Pro version is something that the professionals use.
I know, I guess they just used PS4 Pro last time and it worked well.
Yeah. Of course I'm being facetious, but it just seems like a silly, you know, like, oh my God, if you're a professional sitting on the couch eating Cheetos, then this is what you.
What else? What else would they call it though? What else would they? What else would they call it?
The PS5 Ultra, like Ultra.
The PS5 Ultra.
PS5 Ultra. How does that sound? That sounds like a PS5 Ultra. It's PS5 Pro is like, oh, it's the Pro what? Pro what? Professional? Pro market value?
We have those terms in phones as well. We have Pros and Ultras and Pluses.
Pluses,
I guess
pluses are always good. I like the Plus. PS5 Plus. Well, you can't. They already kind of use that. But
yeah,
I like Ultra. I mean, I do. You know, I think that's a better term. That as far as marketing, it's like, here's the PS5, here's the PS5 Ultra. Why would I not get the Ultra? What would, you know, I gotta have Ultra.
Yeah,
it's one better, right? It goes to 11. So, Pro just, I think, again, makes it sound like, well, I'm not gonna go Pro with it. I'm being silly. It just seems it's like a silly. Everybody makes fun of Microsoft for making these stupid names for their consoles, as they should, because they're dumb. But calling a console professional anything is just as dumb. So don't pretend it's not. So anyway.
But having said that, if Microsoft did make a Pro Series X, what would they call it?
Ultra.
Because because the Xbox One, the Pro model was the X, but now we have an X. So what are they going to do? The Xbox Pro XX?
This is the console that your ex wishes they. No, I don't know. Xbox Series X Pro Ultra, Ultra Pro, Ultra Pro. Yeah,
Ultra Pro.
Ultra Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, they're
You hit it here first.
I am, not being a primary console player anymore. I cannot wait for the next Xbox just to find out what they call it. Just what is the name of it?
Just to see what the name is.
God, it's just somebody. It's like, Phil, put somebody else in charge of that, man. But with saying that though, back to all goofiness aside, I don't think they're going to have a mid-gen because they know they're going to beat Sony to the market next generation. They're going to be a year, possibly two, in front of PlayStation. They say consoles don't matter. They absolutely matter because it's market share. And if you can get something out that's more powerful, because they already know what Sony's going to do. They are now working with Sony already to see what they've got in store, because they're going to have to get dev kits to put Sea of Thieves and Call of Duty and all their third-party stuff on these consoles.
Yeah, on it.
So they're going to know exactly what they're doing. So they shouldn't be worried about, if we put this out a year ahead, could they up something? Could they have just tank us in performance? Now it's like, nope, we know exactly what. So.
And besides, there's not much can change, I think, in a year.
No.
But they can redo anyway, because they still have to put that into testing and shipping the consoles.
Yeah, I don't know what gets like the time that it's finalized and the time that you have a production model. I don't know what that time frame is. I think it's really short, to be honest, because I think it's like the dev kits. I remember reading years ago about the dev kits for the 360. And people were working on the dev kits, and then they changed something, and then they would have to ship them new dev kits with new instruction. And the guy was like, "Well, this is normal for consoles. It's just it's a normal thing." So I think it's more of this added stuff. And of course, on the 360, that Epic, I think it was only going to have 256 meg, and they went to 512, and everybody just threw parties. It was just. Everything was going to look so much better with that 512. So in that instance, everybody had dev kits with 256 megs of RAM in it, and then they had to ship them new dev kits for. So I don't know when it's like, hey, this is the architecture that's finalized, and then here's the last dev kit. It could be years. It could be 2 years. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter because everybody. Produces these games on PC first. They get very far into PC before they're given a dev kit, and then start porting it over to console. So Microsoft tries to make it easy for them. Sony definitely made it easy for them with the PS4 after coming off the PS. So probably that's where where they got ahead and started producing some really nice looking games over Xbox. Cool. All right. So, is there anything that you wanted to talk about before we get into our last topic? Something really, really cool.
I don't think there is. I can think of right now. Okay. It'll probably be like there'll probably be like a news tomorrow. Now I'm like, damn it.
Oh, I know. As soon as we finish this, something's gonna blow up. This is kind of funny and sad and greedy all rolled into one, and I kind of hate to leave on it, but the makers of Tarkov, Escape from Tarkov. Now this is on PC only, and I think this game came out like 2017, 16 or 17. It's still in beta. This game is still in beta. So all the Tarkov knockoffs, people have made other games that are like this and finished them and are on their second iteration of it. This game is still in beta. So I bought this game when I got into PC. It was like $36. And what I got is what is now the $50 version. Instant access to closed beta, which is that's just when they have a beta of a new build, you can get in it. It's all a beta. A digital copy of Preload. That's the game. Basic stash of cells. That's your inventory and stuff. And then it says bonus equipment at start, including. Doesn't really show anything. It shows nothing. So that's their standard version. So that's what you have to pay now to kind of get into the game. Now they have a new version. It's $82. Guaranteed instant access closed beta. Digital copy preload. Increased size of stash, which is the 10 by 38. Just 10 more than the other one. $82. They have another version. Same thing. 10 by 48 stash. And also initially good standing with all in-game traders. So I guess you have to upgrade your trading standing with these guys so you can purchase different things. And here's the kicker. The $250 Unheard edition comes with closed beta access, digital preload, access to PvE co-op mode with persistent progression. Progression will not be reset with wipes. Stash of 10 by 72, unique in-game ID, expanded PMC pockets, increased fence standing, more slots on the flea market, unique in-game melee weapon. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Increased mail retention time, additional background screen option, free access to all subsequential DLC, season pass, access to early test servers. $250. Everyone is really, really mad. You know why? Because apparently they guaranteed a lot of these other players that bought these other editions all DLC. But they're not calling this PvE co-op mode DLC. They just rename it something else. So they're not allowed to it. And then put it behind a $250 price tag. Not to mention that some of the stuff that you have in this are pay to win. So you start off with better equipment. You have in-game stuff that you can use, and then even the in-game melee weapon, which I did look up. It's just a knife. It's an asset off the Unreal store or some other game store. It's just they just went to the store, bought a $6 knife, and put it in there as a unique in-game melee weapon. They didn't even change it. It's like the same knife. Like somebody looked it up, and it's like in an asset store for $6. So they just threw it in there. So you get $250 in a $6 knife, and the PvE mode, which they've been talking about forever, co-op mode, is behind this. This is so greedy and so terrible. And then also, let's see, there was something else. The enhanced stash size, it was like unique. They said something about unique, and this YouTuber was showing that it said enhanced unique stash size or something of that nature. And then he went back to the website. He left this open. He went back to the website, and they had changed it. It changed the verbiage in it as well.
For console prices were bad.
I know, $250. That's
$250.
That's for one game. This game is still in beta. So I did purchase it. I played it a little while. So I downloaded it again, just to kind of remember, what this game is about and everything. It hasn't changed. That was 2 years ago. It hasn't changed anything. I didn't notice any changes whatsoever. This game will always be. This game will never be released. It'll always be in beta. This goes deeper and deeper. I won't get into all of this stuff. But they created an Arena Tarkov mode, which is like a kind of a Call of Duty kind of thing, and then apparently it was so terrible that nobody played it, nobody purchased it, and this is their way of making that money up. So, wow, we thought Ubisoft was greedy with their pricing, man. This is like,
I know. I was supposed to say that Star Wars doesn't look so bad now.
I know, right? And for a game that came out, like it's this thing is, I'll have to look it up and see when it came out, or when it hasn't come out. you know, this is let's see, Tarkov release date. I mean, I don't know if it doesn't really have a release date.
2017.
Yeah, I was right.
Started,
2017. Still in beta. That's insane. Like, you greedy MFers, man. So I think the moral here is to I don't know how big of a fan anybody is of Escape from Tarkov. Don't buy this. Do not give them your money for this. Dear God, do not buy this. This is your advice for today. If you leave with anything else, don't buy this version. Don't buy any of these versions. Just get the $50 one if you want to play. Just otherwise, go play something better. There's better games out there too that do the same thing.
Yeah, I do wonder though with these sort of releases when you say, "Oh, it's in beta, it's not released yet," but surely it's released. I know they say it's beta, but what is a beta at this point?
I know. I mean, after this long, what are they benefiting by saying it's still a beta?
Yeah, I mean, what's the other game on PC that's always in beta? Is it Star Citizen?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason they do that is because they can still get money from investors,
Yeah,
like Kickstarter and stuff like that. So maybe this is some way of I don't know. I am deleting.
So these games that are beta, I'm like, no, that's not a beta. You're just getting money. That's not a beta.
Yeah, this just seems like, are you even making this game, or are you just, you know? Oh man, it's just, I don't know. Maybe that's something we could talk about next week about games that are obvious scams.
Yeah,
that's always fun to talk about. But I don't know. That's you know, it is what it is, as they say. But yeah, that wraps up our show for this week. Man, that was a great talk. We talked about some really good stuff. I enjoyed that intensively.
Yeah,
I hope you guys did too. So we'll be back next week with a bunch of other stuff. So y'all have a good week, and we're out.